one thing from your book that I think is important for like the average person to understand is you talk a bit about the connection between money and hope,
Mhm.
and also about the connection between fiat currency and the moral decay of our country.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's those two things are important for people to be able to connect. So I guess the question is, what is the connection between fiat currency and loss of hope, and how that affects the morals of and the psychology and the culture that we're
Yeah, so
in?
I think that this kind of goes back to what I was mentioning about universal principles. I think that hope is something that universally is a motivator. It's a motivating force for us. Like if you don't have hope, then why work hard, right? It starts to make you feel like maybe I should just give up. Maybe I should not do X, Y, and Z. Maybe I shouldn't play by all the rules. I think that that's one of the things that has happened in the fiat system is by destroying people's purchasing power and stealing their time and their energy from them. It erodes at that sense of sovereignty, hope for the future, and it makes us more short time preference, high time preference, as opposed to thinking about the long run because you're in survival mode, right? I mean, if you're just talking about paying your bills and figuring things out day to day, month to month, how can you think about a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? And so we see it, and sure, you'll get pushback from critics that are like correlation is not causation, but the trends that we see and the statistics and charts that are out there are really overwhelming, especially when you look after 1971, what has happened to the family structure, birth rates, the ability for people to own homes or property, the desire for people to want to own homes, right? Like you have this nihilism that forms in young people where it's like, I don't even care. I don't want to have kids because everything's going to, be destroyed from the climate to my ability to afford everything.
Mhm.
And so that's what's really sad to me. And as a reporter too, I mean, I saw it for sure. It's just like in certain areas, depending also on certain policies, like you see crime rates go up, mental health issues go up, because I think that people are feeling frustrated and feeling like there are no options. And there's this downward pressure on everybody who lives in the household to provide. And even when
Mhm.
you're working multiple jobs, it's like it's never enough. And I don't think that that represents the American dream. I don't think that that represents how we can or should function as a society. I mean, I think we're at our best when we are collaborative and when we can drop our time preference, and money impacts that so much. And I never appreciated that until I learned about Bitcoin. I took it for granted. I didn't understand why prices go up every year, and I didn't connect the dots of how that could impact our own behavior, our sense of hope. Because I think also, like, when you have hope and you live in a world of abundance and freedom and your money goes up in value, you aren't necessarily thinking inward about, how you survive, how to make it, whatever. You start to like operate outward. Like, how can I be of service? How can I help others? What can I do to provide? And so I think that we've tilted. And even though the American values are ones of sort of that type of citizenship, camaraderie, collaboration, entrepreneurship, all that. Like now we're just sort of like, how do I survive? And who's out to get me? Right. I think it
Mhm.
incentivizes grift and distrust. And we've seen it. Nobody trusts anybody today. Nobody trusts our institutions. And so, my really big hope, and it obviously can't happen overnight, but my hope is that Bitcoin, by realigning incentives, will create a world where people can stop being so stressed out about their financial security and start being able to focus on like what their gifts are to be able to share with the world, to be able to be productive um and create that world of abundance that I really do think is possible. Like I mean, in the face of all of this, look at what we've created in the fiat world, right? We've got
Mhm.
rockets that like
With
can
all these twisted
take
incentives
off,
and
yeah,
yeah.
and then land again. It's like, what could we do on a Bitcoin standard is what I always wonder.
Yeah. Yeah, the dots that you connected very clearly for me, um, in the book when you were talking about this was you mentioned how the requirement of everyone in the household to now become providers, to now become income earners, and the result of that is that you destroy the family unit when you do that, because who's raising the kids? Both the parents are out working, and so you either have to, drop them off to the state to get educated, in the school system, and then even still on top of that, there's, when you have both your parents working all the time, it's like, it's more difficult to raise the kids properly. It's not impossible. Both my parents worked, and I feel like they did a great job. I'm very grateful for the way that they raised us. But it certainly would be easier when you only need one parent to be working to provide an income, and the other parent can be um, more closely attending to the children, especially in the early years, because children become properly socialized basically by the age of 4. So it's really before they get into school. There are uh, ways that they learn to interact with other kids. And if they don't learn how to play well with other kids, and if they're not taught like good play etiquette, that moves up, and they may be antisocial for the rest of their lives because they didn't have that important attention from ages 2 to 5, let's say, something like that.
100%. And I think that a lot of these decisions, especially with regards to even starting a family, relate to finances. And so
Hmm.
if people just had more optionality, if they didn't have to worry so much, not only I think we would see more families, but we would see more situations where people are able to be present with their kids, whether that's taking time off or having more flexible roles, or having one parent at home. Like, I just think when people have the option, that's the best case scenario. When you feel like you have no options and you're just, like I said, like working 3 jobs is not enough. I sometimes get really sad when I'm traveling a lot for work, and I'll get picked up in Uber, and it's someone who's in their 60s or 70s who should be retired or close to retirement, and they can't save up. And you'll talk to them and it's like that's not their only job, and they're trying to help their kids, and like that is sad. That should not happen in America to me. So I just think that if we are able to fix the money, and again, it's not going to happen overnight, unfortunately, but if we can do that, if we can address some of these core issues that our system is so corrupt, truly, in terms of like the financial system and the unit of account that we base everything on, I really do think it would have these effects and consequences that are so positive and change the trajectory of society. Um, and I really hope to see that. Maybe there's like that great saying that sometimes you plant seeds and you don't get to bask in, like, or you don't get to sit under the shade of them, right? Because
Hmm.
they won't grow while you're alive. But I hope that for our children's children, like that they get to see that, because that would be a great world to live in.